Well, hey there. All right, I am coming to you a day late and I'm sorry, and I'm going to come to you extremely raw audio because the big news, the big reveal is our family decided to move. So here I am in a new house, major echoing, and I have got a makeshift studio here as I'm holding my microphone, and Packers are at our other house, and we just have a few more days and we are moving. So I thought today, as much as that's an announcement in itself, and I apologize for probably the horrible audio today for my podcast, but like I said, I'm dealing with a furniture-less house with tall ceilings, a lot of echo, but I did want to be real like I always am and let you know that, this was a big thing for us. And the reason I'm running a day late is yesterday was absolutely crazy here. So I was in charge of making sure people coming in and leaving were setting things up, getting the house ready. You forget how many wonderful things you have functioning in the home you've been in for 12 years and how starting over is horrible. So I'm ready for the labor part. I don't mind doing the labor. But this whole calling people, scheduling, being at certain places at certain times, making sure they're doing their job, doing it right, everything you ask for, covering your bases is exhausting. So I thought I would do this podcast more about, as an amputee, whether to move or not to move. In my case, with 7 years of surgeries on my knee, and we were living in a 2-story. I dealt with it. So I got really good at stairs and crutches with stairs and slowly going up and down stairs. And I'm the kind of person with my personality that if I think there's something upstairs or downstairs I need, I will take 2 to 3 stairs at a time and I'm jumping. So this having to do stairs for 7, 8 years of surgeries and doing step by step was a huge lesson in patience for me. And I'm not a patient person at all, but I'm learning. And so all these are trials to get myself to that point. Well, a couple of years ago when my amputation happened, we decided that maybe we should start just looking, but I emotionally tie myself to homes and cars. I don't know why. I have a hard time saying goodbye to an old car that's been awesome for me, but homes especially. So to tell you a little bit about where we're moving from, we are in North Phoenix right now, and that home, as my younger son, who's now 17, said, it's the only home I really remember, Mom. So for him, it's home. So I remember my home that I grew up in from baby. I was born at that home, went through schooling, came back from college, and like the movie Father of the Bride, like I was packing up my room the night before my wedding. So I get when he says, because I remember that feeling and having to leave my home. And then when my parents sold that home, that was the only home I knew. So I get the emotional tie, and my younger son is more like me in that way. Also, that home was the only place I homeschooled my boys. So all the memories, all the science experiments, all the going outside and using a jigsaw to do woodworking and bird watching and cooking in the kitchen with each other, all those memories are tied up there. And also the year that my amputation happened was the last year that my mom was in our home. And so it's the only home I have memories left here in Arizona with my mom. So right there, that just, that's a heartstring one right there. And then during the pandemic, unfortunately, our chocolate lab that we had gotten in Florida when our kids were littles, she passed away during the pandemic in May. And so she actually passed away outside on the grass, and I was right there with her. And so, man, there are memories and amazing things that happen, sad, tear-jerking things that happen. And I know it's a chapter in our life, but I really have a hard time closing a chapter even though this one is going to be phenomenal and we are so excited about this house, it's another chapter. And for me, I have to weigh the pros and cons. We are moving, still in Arizona, but we're moving about 20 minutes north of us into Carefree, Arizona. And it is closer to the mountains and natural habitat of the desert. And it has a beautiful backyard where I can see me growing old and being able to sit outside and enjoy coffee or an iced tea and just growing old with my husband. And I also envision the grandkids someday, nothing soon. So boys, if you're listening, I don't want anything soon. I'm too young to be a grandma. But someday I hope to have grandkids here that can come and play. And it's a size house where they could go and enjoy and kind of get lost. Enjoy the outside. And believe it or not, we went to a ranch. That was the main purpose for the move, was to make it easier for me. There was a basement. Like there are like very few basements in Arizona just because the rock that they'd have to dig into. This one has a basement, which my kids are excited about because their bedrooms are actually downstairs. But if I want to go downstairs and see them, they know I have to go the stairs. So anyway, that's where we're at. That was my big news. It has been literally those last 3 weeks that I was telling you something was coming. I know it was nothing big for you or anything that changes for your life, but it does help me appreciate being an amputee and having to make the move because my husband's still working and my boys are in school or football and everything. That the move itself is going to be heavily put on me. And having one leg missing, I know that that's going to cause some pain, some issues, exhaustion. One thing I noticed already is everything in here, unlike our Midwest home in Illinois, everything here is stone-based flooring. My only knee that I have was so sore yesterday. It was just aching from standing on like cement. And so I know that that's going to be something that I'm going to have to be careful of. Even though that's what we had before, I just know the next couple weeks of moving and getting stuff in here and everything is going to be detrimental on my hip and knee that I have that are good right now. So I thought maybe what I would do is just talk about some of the do's and don'ts and maybe learn a little bit about myself along the way with that. So if you're an amputee, obviously stairs can be bad. And you know, it took me a while and my pride got in the way because I was like, I can do the stairs. I don't need to go to a ranch, you know. But it wasn't about that I was getting older or what I could or couldn't do at the time. It was all about preserving the joints I have for longer or longevity. So 2 hips and a knee left and an ankle. I need to make sure that those guys don't have to go up and down stairs and just all that's doing is taking away cartilage faster on the one side, which would then lead me to surgeries, which I really can't be doing because I may have the same effect with scarring on the other knee. So we're trying to stay away from that. So I had to concede to that first, that it wasn't about I was getting old and couldn't do stairs. I can do stairs like nobody's business. But I had to say, you know, what's going to be better for me if I want to be healthy and happy 20, 30 years down the road still. I can't be beating myself up now and burning myself out only to have nothing left in 10 years for my family. So I conceded to that and the excitement started to grow. The other things that we need to think about is the fact that right now my socket's not fitting me great. One, we're having like 117 degree weather here in Arizona, which is absolutely nutty and so hot. I don't know what it is about us in moving into hot places in the summer. We moved to Florida in August. We moved here originally from Florida to Arizona in August. And here we are, summer months again, moving houses. And it's just, you just got to get used to being sweaty and smelly and sticky. So pardon the appearance. I came ready to work today. So we have to deal with the one level. I need to make sure that, as my husband tried to do for me yesterday, is when I'm talking to, like, we had ADT security here, I should probably grab a seat and stand next to him because they were here from 12 to 9 yesterday. It was absolutely nuts. And so They were here for so long, and I was afraid to sit, because as soon as I'd sit, they'd be like, hey, can I show you this on this side of the house or this side of the house? So I just kind of stood and munched and stood and got drinks and went from one place to the other around the house. And that's probably one of the reasons why I was hurting so bad yesterday. But I will tell you that in the long run, I know this is going to be a much better fit. Before, I'd have to bring laundry downstairs, trying to bring laundry with one arm and hold a railing with the other so I don't trip because I couldn't see my feet is a little bit scary, and my husband hates when I do that. And then, you do your laundry downstairs and then take it back upstairs. So I am really excited about my first load of laundry here. It's the little things, because it's just down the hallway here, right by I get a craft room, which is very exciting for me. My boys keep telling me it's going to be a weight room, and I'm like, no, it's a craft room. You don't get a weight room. I get a craft room. We can put weights downstairs. So, so we got the weight room, the craft room, excuse me. My boys are sucking my will to live here. But yeah, I mean, just trying to move, knowing what's best for you. I had to finally concede. This was literally a last minute decision, and everything happened in 2 weeks, not kidding. My dad was in visiting. We actually came to this house just on a whim to see it with him. Loved it so much, we wanted to see it at night. Came back the next day and then put in an offer. And a couple days later, they countered and we accepted. Inspector was here last week or whatever. We were in Chicago for a week. That's one of my podcasts. I was in Chicago doing this on my parents' patio because I didn't have a setup at my parents' house. I'm getting really good at these last minute, very little audio. You guys may not like the sound of it. I don't know. I promise I'll be getting back to normal podcasts. Wait till you see my craft room. The one wall is beautiful, the way they painted it, and I'm keeping it. But and then all of a sudden, last week we had to skedaddle out of our house because we had an open house, and we have a bid on it. So everything's going as planned, knock on wood. But there's a lot to it, and I've been taking trips the last 3 days since we've owned this house officially, and I've been taking Jeep loads of stuff into the house, which is really killer. Like, I've noticed that my back and my hips are hurting. So, my advice would be for an amputee, gosh, if you can be on one level, that's probably much better for your longevity as an amputee and just your bottom line health. You'll be happier for it if you're not doing stairs all the time. I got used to living in one area, so I wouldn't come downstairs until I was totally set and brought everything I needed for the day downstairs. And that was just over years of surgeries. I knew that if I was coming downstairs, I wasn't going back upstairs until evening. So I learned to live that way. But if you're an amputee, especially lower limb, obviously, stairs can be detrimental for falls, but for wear and tear. So I would really suggest, if you are in a 2-level and you're deciding whether or not it's worth the hassle, obviously the first few weeks of a move are going to be the hardest on your body. That's when you elicit help. So that's my next step. There is nothing wrong with enticing your friends with a bottle of wine after a hard day's work. So Mary Wiley, I've got you on the docket. You're going to come over and help me. I've got wine for the end of the day to reward you for all the hard work. So next week, when the movers actually bring our stuff, I'm going to have to humble myself and just ask for help, which is hard because you want to place things where you want to place them, but there will be little things, whether it's picking up boxes. Like for me, picking up a box means using all my back at first or my right knee and my hip. If I can get a friend to pick up a box and take it from point A to point B versus me having to bend down, pick up, and then drop, then that's better for me in the long run. So I would tell you, if you can get a ranch, go ranch. It'll be better for you long term. Second, please make sure you elicit help. Don't be too proud to say, I would love a little help. It's not that you can't do it, and I'm talking to myself when I say this. It's not that I can't do it. It's that it's really hard on our bodies to do everything all the time. And I really am talking to me because I can't seem to ask for help, and I can't seem to say, oh, I should have somebody else do it. I always want something done, and I want it done my way right now. Like chandeliers. See the chandelier behind me? Well, those of you that are listening, you can't, but there's a chandelier behind me that has like, I don't know, maybe 10 bulbs, and there's one very similar over the island here. I went and got the bulbs. I'm gonna be on a ladder. I'm gonna be doing that. I was on the ladder doing the garage door opener with my husband the other day because I'm so stubborn. I'm like, I got it, you hold the ladder. The poor guy. Thank God he's known me since high school, right? Because I don't know if anybody else could put up with me. So stubborn. So ask for help, get help. And you know what? Just have that bottle of wine or tea or whatever your friends like. Maybe even pretend you've baked cookies, which everybody knows you haven't because you've moved. Go to the nice grocery store down the street, grab some home-baked cookies, bring them here, put them on a plate, even if it's a paper plate. But do it. Yeah, they'll be so thankful. And I will also tell you, you'll get, what do they say, more bees with honey than, with vinegar. And all the people that were coming into our house yesterday, I made sure I stocked our fridge with drinks, all kinds of drinks, whether they were peace teas, Gatorades, Starbucks, Starbucks jugs. And I just kept making sure we were filling them with fluids and telling them to stop, take a break. It's hot, don't get dehydrated. What can I do for you? And you know what? They're willing to go an extra mile to make sure everything is great, because you don't want your security system to be put up, half-assed. You don't want your handyman in here and kind of doing the job, but not, because I'm not gonna stand over the people. I give them their due respect unless you've proven me otherwise. And I'm wandering around the house doing stuff and checking in every once in a while, but giving them that respect that, hey, I know you're doing a good job. Here, have a Gatorade, have something, take a break for a second. We had, little hand sandwiches here for our lunch. We just started handing them out. My poor cleaners from our other house came up to just do a once over clean, and they were here literally until 10, I think, last night. So they did about 10 hours of work. And we said, here, take these wraps, take these, eat. Here's some waters, here's some Gatorade, because they still had to drive all the way into Phoenix when they were done. So, honey goes a long way. And so you might be hurting because you're an amputee, but everybody's here to try to help. And you really will get more mileage out of people with kindness. And so that's how I build my life, and that's what I want you guys to be able to do so that you can get the most out of the money you're spending. Because we forget it gets so expensive to move. It's not just the house, it's everything that goes along with starting things up, services. All right, well, like I said, our move is coming along. Do's and don'ts, I don't think that there really is a lot of do's and don'ts, although you do need to listen to your body. Don't push too hard. Give yourself some grace. Again, I feel like I'm literally talking to myself every time I say this. And that's what I based this podcast today on was, you know what? If you weren't so darn stubborn, what would you tell yourself as an amputee? And that's probably what some people need to hear. Those of you that know me and are amputees, a lot of you are like me. We kind of flock together, and you're go-getters. You don't want anything keeping you down, but you do need to give in to some of that pride at times and not push so hard. So last night we all put our feet up and got a drink and some popcorn. One of my boys went to Harkins and got one of those big $10 popcorn bags, and we just put a movie in. They had left some theater equipment downstairs that actually was working because we don't have internet or cable yet. And I needed it. I almost fell asleep, but I needed it just to put my feet up for a little bit and just relax before driving home and figuring out what needed to be done at our house. Because as I'm speaking to you, I have packers packing up our house right now. So this house has barely anything in it, and the other house is in complete disarray. Until next Tuesday, like all of this is taking, a lot longer for this part of it. So we're going to be kind of living off of, I think, pizza and paper plates. So, and that's another thing, I'm like trying to make good choices with what I eat because all of our exercise equipment is packed. I know I'm burning calories with all the lifting and moving and hauling and standing, but it's not the same as those of you that know working out, going for walks, hiking, or even lifting light weights or doing resistance training. that does what I'm doing burns calories, but not as high as those things. So I need to be careful that I'm not, like yesterday, I bought donuts. I figured it would be for like people coming in the house, and then I found myself nibbling on donuts all morning, and I'm like, oh, that's not what I needed. So I need to be careful with what I'm doing with myself because, you know, junk in, junk out is kind of my thought. And so if I'm not eating right, then I'm not going to be my best. And I just, I need to be smart about that. So you too, make sure you're eating healthy, make sure you're eating right. You can get like string cheese and you can get nuts and seeds. You can keep, you know, we finally can bring apples and bananas and stuff in the house. But don't succumb to all pizza. Like we had pizza last night, so we can't do that tonight. But anyways, so I just wanted to share with you the move that's happening, and I apologize greatly for the next week or two. It's still going to be kind of, you know, wonky because next Tuesday, everything's going to be moved in, which means Wednesday when I normally post, it'll probably be another impromptu podcast like this. So I please, I beg your forgiveness on it being so haphazard the last few weeks, but this is what I've been dealing with. So between a move, having my dad in and visiting, taking off on our very first vacation since the pandemic and being in Chicago for a week, I'm still trying to get over it with the horse, but I have not been able to get there. One, the heat is horrible. And two, I'm swamped with everything I'm organizing here for this house. And I'm still trying to get my personal training certificate. And so I finally just got an extension because I'm like, I'm not going to be done this summer. So I'm still trying to get myself my personal training certificate with corrective exercise so I can start doing exercises and helping people be accountable for their health and their happiness and their physical activity and their mental health. Because you know what? When we're physically active and physically healthy, we're going to be mentally healthy, we're going to be emotionally healthy, and I'm going to be your girl. I'm going to be the one that tries to get you to that path. That's what I'm aiming for in my next chapter. And so I'm hoping you'll stick with me, hear the journey that it is, because I've always been about being real, being transparent, and it's ugly right now. It's not smooth. It's not easygoing. It's a lot of hard work, but it is going to be so worth it. In about a month or two, I'm going to be cruising through. My son will be starting full-time school for the first time in 11 years. I will not be homeschooling anybody. And with my time, I want to do a really good job reaching out to you guys needing the help, hopefully becoming an accountability and personal trainer for those that need it, especially amputees or those struggling with physical disability. I cannot wait. So that is what's on the horizon. Again, I apologize for the roughness of this video, but I really want to get this out, so I probably will do no tweaking to this podcast, but I will throw it right out there. If you are listening and you want to see the house and some of the things I'm talking about around here, please get onto my YouTube channel. I'm starting to post these videos up on my YouTube channel. And you know what? As always, be healthy, be happy, be you. Thanks for tuning in.